Hey guys, Dean here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 13 worst money mistakes that you can possibly make in your 20s. These are common money mistakes we all make, how we waste our money in our 20s, the bad money habits and behaviors we do, which kind of impedes ourselves from making serious money, and just the bad saving habits and spending habits that most people have as students or young adults in the 20s. And I think it's really important to highlight some of these key behaviors so we can try and make sure we don't do them next time and create more healthier habits, because these are some things which I saw that I did, and a lot of things which I see other people do, which are just insane and they should definitely stop doing. So let's jump into these 13 money mistakes you need to avoid in your 20s. So the first one is not paying off student debt. So I think student debt is one of the biggest debt crises out there in the world. So if you pursued university, unlike me, you may have found yourself in some kind of crippling student loan debt. Now, depending on which country you're in, you may have been able to pay it back, it may have not been such an issue, but in a lot of countries, student loan debt is a crisis, okay? Now, in America, if you keep up with the news, which I usually don't, you'll know that Biden actually announced recently that he would be forgiving up to like $500 billion, I think the figure was, of student loan debt recently. So it is literally that bad, okay? It's that much of an issue. Student loan debt can set you back sometimes decades if you don't pay it back, especially when you start at the bottom of the income ladder in maybe your first job where you're not actually making that much. It can be a big problem, and I would say if your job requires college or university, whether you're in America or the European world, that will obviously determine which term you refer to it as, but I would say definitely go if your degree requires it. But if it doesn't, reconsider going to college or university, in my opinion, and acquiring debt, because if you're going to university for something useless and you're acquiring debt, you need to think about if that's actually right for your situation. For an example, let's say you're going to college for a liberal art or some kind of non-marketable skill. Let's say I'm going to college to do drama or to act. I can learn those from just joining a drama school, and most people who are working on a film don't want me to have an acting degree to actually be on that film, right? It's the same as an artist. Most of the best artists or freelance artists teach themselves via the computer and online. There's resources available for these kind of topics, and the jobs don't require a degree in them. So most of the time you're putting yourself in debt just for the passion of it, and you can still do these hobbies and have the passion of it via online courses and classes without paying off these extreme amounts of debt from borrowed money. So that's an important thing, to just put yourself in the situation, remove your emotion from it, and just think, is this actually worth doing as a degree? Okay, that's really important. If you aren't going to need that degree for a job, you just need to think about the ROI on actually doing that degree and the potential debt you're putting yourself in. That's a really important thing. I think that's a big mistake people make, especially when people don't know what they're going to do, so they just sign up for university or college in some generic random thing which is based off their passion, but the job doesn't require the degree itself. The degree is just something that's for fun, like I mentioned before. Now me, I love filmmaking, okay? Filmmaking, directing, making videos. I think that's evident because I do YouTube, but I did study film studies and media in college and in school. In college for the UK, that's before university, but I didn't pursue university, which is college in America, for this because I knew the debt that would be given to me from pursuing this passion was not worth it, because it's not actually a job that requires a degree. So that's just something to think about. The next thing is not having an emergency fund. So I see a lot of people talk about this, and an emergency fund is extremely important. Now I'm going to give you a little example of this, okay? So the first times which I went to Austria to try and pursue a visa to stay, I initially saved up around 15,000, okay? And that was kind of like my blanket. And obviously after a few months, the first time I was there, I did actually burn through it because I made the mistake of staying in expensive hotels, which is also a big mistake you shouldn't do. But I had a bit of a blanket there. But then the first or second following times after I went back, I didn't have a blanket, so then I obviously had to go home. And that was the original times I actually came here. But it's recommended, in my opinion, to actually have from 3 months up to 6 months of your monthly living expenses to fall back on, just in case you run into some kind of hard times, okay? Hard times will usually be the times which result in you spending more money than you actually need to either stay in a place or to try and make sure you don't get out of a place. And you'll also potentially start borrowing money from credit cards or loans due to desperation, and it'll just put you in further financial despair. Make sure you have money to fall back on, or enough money to fall back on if something goes wrong. That's really important. The next one is another money management mistake, right? And that's generally managing your money and not budgeting. A budget is extremely important. Not many people tend to actually budget in the 20s, I've realized, and I've been guilty of this very frequently in the past, I must admit. In fact, if you need to learn to budget, I do actually have a video which shows you how to budget and save money, and different money saving and budgeting techniques to do it easily, how to break down certain classifications of money and how to set aside your money into different subclasses. So that's really important, okay? And I will link that down in the description below because that's a really useful resource. Now, tracking expenses to see what your outgoings are in relation to your incomings is important to track your expenditures and finance. Budget and track your money so that you can accurately assign money for your groceries, your living costs, mandatory spending, and the percentage that you wish to set aside for investing, which is something that you will neglect if you don't budget, and then eventually you won't invest at all. So that's why you should budget, so you make sure you set aside that percentage to invest with. Doing this early and budgeting so you have the right money to go into the right places will put you ahead of like 99% of people in your age class, because most people don't budget, and this will put you in the 1 percentile in my opinion. The next one is not using a credit card. Now, credit cards do get a bad rap due to people's poor money management skills and the immense level of debt which people find themselves due to them borrowing money and just burying themselves in a pile of money that they owe back. However, using a credit card the right way and borrowing wisely and then paying it back each month in full before the interest racks up is actually a beneficial thing. This will mean that you can build up your credit score early, approve you for more loans, and you'll have a higher trust level with different financial institutions because of this, because you're basically proving yourself to other people that you can manage money correctly and you're not a risk or danger to them if they lend you something. And it also gives you perks too, which a lot of people don't talk about. So this is things like bonus upgrades for flights, for an example, which is going to be kind of key in one of the points I'm going to discuss a little bit later. Remember to live below your means, pay the money back immediately, and don't overexpend yourself with a credit card, because it can be a blessing, but it can also be a curse if you just think it's free money. The next one is waiting too long to invest. So being in your 20s lets you leverage time and the compound of interest, okay? So investing lets you acquire money via interest in your investment, letting you also reinvest, acquire more interest on the money, and make use of the compound effect that is investing. So if you invest in your 20s, you have years left of your life to just consistently compound that initial investment and any further investments you make. So let's just say you invest $100 a month from 20 years old. Consistently, by the time you're like 65, you would have got around $500,000, okay, with the average return of investment annually. Now, if you waste only 5 years, which doesn't seem like much at all, I'm nearly 25, let's say I didn't invest a thing from 20 to 25, those 5 years would make a lot of difference, because if you keep investing that $100 monthly from 25 instead of from 20, by the time you're 65, you would have around $370,000, around about $377,000, just below $400,000. So you're missing out on more than $100,000 from the compounding effect. So that's a lot of money. So see, time does make a big difference more than you actually know. So saving and penny pinching, in my opinion, isn't always the best, but saving a small amount for investments does pay off big in the future. The next one is just obvious. I think we all know about this. That's gambling, okay? I see a lot of people gambling. I also see the resurgence of gambling on platforms like Twitch, where people live stream gambling, which is basically projecting a very bad behavior onto the youth. And I see a lot of people getting into gambling. It's the same thing when they did CSGO gambling. I remember back in the day for skins. I actually did that a little bit when I was young, but I didn't really have much money, so I didn't really get too deep into it. But it is a toxic habit, okay? Gambling is a toxic habit. So with those examples I made, gambling on the internet gambling games or gambling skins from a video game, it makes it seem more attractive, okay? It makes it appeal to more of a wider audience, but it's the same bad habit, okay? And you can lose money, you can lose skins if you're on Steam, if you're a gamer. There's a lot of bad things to gambling, right? So I see a lot of people do it in an unhealthy way, and people with addictive personalities can find it very easy to get hooked on gambling. I think we all know this, especially if they win and they get a taste of a lot of money. When they're poor, it's even worse. So gambling, remember, whenever you think about gambling, gambling is a system designed to make you lose and maximize the profits of the casino or the gambling service, okay? So whenever you gamble, just think of that money as just dead money. You're gonna always lose it. So if you're not an addictive personality, you might gamble once for fun, that's fine, but just go into it thinking that you're definitely gonna lose that money and you're not gonna acquire any wealth from it. That's the healthy way of gambling, and then maybe you won't do it frequently. But if you're someone who just can't get away from it, it's a big problem, okay? And a lot of people are like that, trust me. This is the same for the lottery. When I was a kid, I got some pretty good success on low tier winnings frequently from playing good numbers, but I realized that this was kind of a fruitless endeavor. I wasn't going to get the millions on the Euro Millions jackpot, so I just stopped playing due to this, okay? Even though I was making more than the ticket price most of the time, eventually if you keep playing, you will always make a loss. Recently, I went to one of my friend's wedding, my best friend's wedding, and we did some gambling games for fun, but they were with fake money and it was just some fun. And that's also another thing you can do if you enjoy gambling. Just use fake money, okay? And then you won't actually lose out on it, and it can be just a healthy game for fun. So gambling, I see, is a big pitfall for people just wasting money. Imagine all that money that you lose from gambling selling, you just put it into an investment account, you're missing out on a lot of compounding and a lot of growth over the years, okay? So that's the worst thing you can do in my opinion. You're not going to be Dan Bilzerian or one of these big gamblers who made a ton of money. It's just such a rare occurrence. You're just going to lose money. Let's be honest. The next one is buying an expensive car, which is very tempting, okay? In your early 20s, buying a really expensive car is not really a good investment. So if you do buy one, you need to be aware of this. A car is not a very good investment because it depreciates year by year in value, and it doesn't hold strong like an asset in real estate, for example, would. That is unless it's some limited edition collectible or some luxury supercar, which you're probably not going to be able to afford in your 20s anyway, but that's beside the point, okay? A car is an example of what's called a depreciating asset. You can lose a huge percentage of your original investment if you buy a very expensive car because it's always going to lose value, okay? This means borrowing money as well or taking a loan to buy a car is even worse of an idea if you can't even afford it, because you'll always be in a minus and you'll never make back the original amount that you took out to pay for it. So my opinion, just a really bad investment. Young guys want nice cars, so if you do buy one, just know that it's going to lose value over time, and then it's fine. The next one is wasting too much money on partying, okay? And I see a lot of people my age do this, okay? So I originally skipped the party phase in my teens. I was just focused on grinding up my YouTube, but after reaching a little bit of success in my 20s, I have experienced the party and club life 2 or 3 times in the past few months, and the key phrase there is 2 or 3 times. Just when I meet my friends, maybe on holiday or vacation, it's just a fun time infrequently. But I see a lot of guys spending money on partying multiple times a week. Now, it's okay if people go out on maybe a Friday night or a Saturday night, but I see people doing it multiple days a week and then spending a lot of money. Maybe they might spend money on expensive bottles of wine or booze to try and get girls, and they still get no success, but they still burn a hole in the wallet and waste a lot of the money. So that's where a lot of people in the early 20s just waste the money, okay? So that's something you need to think about if you're going out partying, or how much you actually spend it. Usually you don't actually have to pay much for drinks anyway if you actually befriend people there, so I don't know why most people are still spending a ton of money when they go to a club. The next is very similar, and that's money spent on very expensive or high tier dates, okay? So when I talk about this, I'm talking about when people spend a lot of money to take a girl to a very expensive meal or a very expensive place in order to impress them. This is just a fruitless endeavor in my opinion. If you take a girl out to an expensive meal, really expensive bougie restaurant or date to impress them, it might not be the right one if they just want you to take them to somewhere expensive constantly, or they might just be thinking that you are rich because you're putting up this fake front. And if you can't afford it long term, you'll be upholding an image that you can't maintain, and it will put you behind and in hot water in the long run because you're just wasting money you don't have. Most dates can be simple, and you can pull off some really crazy experiences nowadays for cheap, and you can find good deals everywhere too. It's all about the experience, not about the price tag. And if you're creating a great experience, that's all that matters, and that's what I found in the past. So we've all made mistakes of spending too much here, but you really don't have to. Next up is fast food and eating out in general. So the average 20 to 30-year-old cannot sustain or afford constant takeout food, especially in the modern age, right? Be it from a restaurant or a takeaway, it really doesn't matter. On my travels to Europe, some countries on the takeout apps were extremely expensive, and the delivery was literally more than paying for the actual meal. I'd buy something for like €5, but then the total order would be like €30, or they'd want you to have a minimum order of €30 to €50. So it's pretty ridiculous, and then you had the delivery on top of that. So it really put things into perspective how unsustainable it is. Now, it was a different situation in Croatia where it was a lot cheaper, because I met one of my wealthy friends over in Croatia, and he gave me an insight into his life for the first time. This was the first time I was meeting him, and he's a really cool guy, by the way. But basically, he said to me he would order takeout multiple times a day, or he does order takeout multiple times a day. And it really shocked me at first, but it really gave me a great insight into the flow of money when he actually told me how he did it. He showed me his investments, and he showed me that he was sustaining ordering this amount of food every single day just from his dividends and interest he was acquiring from his crypto. Okay, so he's literally living off his crypto investments without dipping into them and being able to buy anything he wanted in terms of his food. So he had a really great diet. He was ordering from the healthiest takeout options. It opened my eyes that that's the smart way to live, and a lot of rich people do that. They make a ton of money, put it into investments or something which will give them dividends or passive income, and they live off those dividends, passive income, or interest. And that's exactly what he did with takeout food, and it was kind of giving himself a luxury that wasn't actually affecting his bottom line, and I really respected him for doing that. That was really cool. But the reality is that most young people can't actually do this, okay? You may need to save money or cut costs so you can be wealthier later. And takeout food is one many of us have been guilty for, but it can really burn a hole in your wallet, especially if you're ordering from more expensive apps. Then we have designer fashion brands. So spending money on luxury or designer fashion brands is not the best investment, and I'm sure all of us who have bought from them in the past know this, but sometimes you just want those shoes, right? So it could be the new Travis Scott collab that you have your eyes on. It could be some kind of other fashion brand, or the new Jordans or Yeezys, or some kind of clothes. I'm more into shoes, but a lot of people like to buy expensive clothes. But for the most part, unless it's a limited edition item that you can flip later for a profit, which a lot of people do actually, a lot of people make a lot of money flipping limited edition Jordans, it's likely something you're better off without, at least for now. Sure, I've bought Jordans in the past, okay? In fact, I bought some suede leather ones, which were kind of limited edition, and they're really nice. Unfortunately, the backs of them are actually wearing away a little bit now, but I could count on one hand the amount of designer things which I actually wear or have. Excluding my belt and shoes, I don't really have that many designer items. Now, watches, in my opinion, are a completely different story, okay? Watches can be a great investment to go up in value over time, but that's for a different video. But that is actually an asset class which I think is actually a good investment if it's your hobby. Then we have renting expensive apartments, and when you make a little bit of money, everyone, including me, has been tempted to do this, okay? When you're searching for an apartment, you always look at those upper class ones, those higher class ones that you maybe can or can't afford, or maybe they're just a little bit above the figure you originally set yourself out to have as a budget, but it's really tempting, right? So you started making good money, or you got a new job, but scaling up your lifestyle to get a luxury apartment is taking away more money that you could be using to invest, and then later enjoying the fruits of your labor, right? So if the apartment is taking up half of your salary, or meaning that you can't successfully invest that 20%, which I recommended, of your salary each month, it's not helping you and it's probably got to go, right? Usually you should use what's called the rule of thirds. This is recommended to nearly everyone, and that's that your rental should at the most only take up a third of your monthly income. This means that it's always sustainable, the likelihood of you losing your apartment is very low, and you don't have to worry about it, and you also have money left over to set aside for other things in your budget. So try and use the rule of thirds. You can get a nicer place in your 30s, or if you have a partner or get a partner later, you can focus on getting a nicer place with them because you'll have less of an expense personally. But focus on saving and investing right now, in my opinion, or having the extra cash you don't spend on that bougie apartment as a safety blanket while you start some kind of business which you're interested in, or a side hustle. And the last one I'm going to talk about is flying first class and business class. Now, I don't really know many people who actually do this. I have one friend who really wanted to, just for the experience, and I agree with him. I think it would be a great experience, and I think flying first class or business will be really cool. But I've always flown economy personally, yet some flights I've taken on economy have still been very expensive, but that's mainly due to supply and demand, or late bookings, or trying to get very niche connections to go through some random country to get home. But I've always considered first or business class just for the experience, but it's something that many people find it hard to return from once they actually try it, right? Because it's that whole inclusive package experience. You get like fancy food, really nice service from the flight attendants. It's very tempting, okay? And once you realize the luxury and experience of upgrading your flight, you'll most likely not enjoy the economy experience more. I'm sure when you go to first class or business class and then go back to economy, it will be a little bit of a letdown. If it's not something that you can regularly afford, I'd save the upgrades and the experience for later when you're wealthier, and save the extra expenditure to maybe extend your trip and actually enjoy it longer, right? For more experiences, or to invest with. Most of the time, the price to upgrade for business class or first class is enough money where you could spend another week somewhere. Like if you're in Europe, let's say you're somewhere like Romania, or if you're in like an island place or a foreign country like Bali or something, you could literally be there for a whole other week, sometimes 2 weeks, with the amount for a flight upgrade. So just consider that. Like you could be having more of an experience, and experiences are everything. Also remember, using the right credit cards for long enough means you can also sometimes get free flight upgrades with them if you know what you're doing, and you can consistently just get free upgrades and get to first or business class just an easier way. So do look into that and consider that too. I might do a video on credit cards in the future if you want to learn a little bit more on that as a general topic. So that is the worst money mistakes I think everyone is guilty of, or should definitely avoid making in their 20s if they want to build up some serious capital and not waste all the money. And I think if you follow all of these, or at least try and follow all of them, some of them you just need to enjoy your life. Like you're still going to go out partying every now and again, and sometimes you might even gamble once in a blue moon. But if you follow these to a T for the most part, fairly consistently, you will have more money than you would have if you perform these bad behaviors. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? But I'd recommend taking all of this into account and building good, healthy habits. And when you get in your 30s, you'll really thank yourself, trust me. So if this video was entertaining or provided some kind of value, make sure to press the like button and subscribe. I'll be bringing out some more business and finance videos with a little bit of travel sprinkled in there soon, and I'll see you next time.